Welcome to the 517 In Your Business podcast. Here's your host, Mary Gaida.
517 in Your Business talks with what I'm finding out is a very influential Greater Lansing figure today, featured on the cover of our September 2025 issue. The reason I say that is because I'm not sure I've ever had as many calls or people stop me saying, how do I get a copy of this magazine? I know this guy. He's amazing. Please welcome Josh Block, president of Block Imaging. Glad to see you.
Glad to see you. Thanks so much for having me.
So for those unfamiliar with Block Imaging, tell me what it does.
Yeah, so Block Imaging is a provider of medical imaging equipment, parts, and service solutions globally. And so we started in 97. My dad started out of a home office and with no expectation that in 2025 we'd have 425 people. And we are, one last piece is just that we're an affiliate of Siemens Healthineers and Common Spirit Health. And so that was a joint venture that was comprised in 2023.
The growth of the company has just been amazing. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you move from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 20. And when I joined 20 years ago, I think there were 35 of us. And so, yeah, growth is just, it's just part of who we've been since the very beginning, is like growing and stretching. And one of my favorite quotes is from Truett Cathy from Chick-fil-A, is that if we get better, our customers will demand we get bigger. And so growth isn't something we necessarily chase after, but we really chase after serving the healthcare community, and growth tends to follow.
Right. So, you mentioned that the company was founded, in a home office. What inspired it all?
I think it was a pretty unique story. So my grandfather was one of the founders of Paramount Coffee, and then my dad was in the coffee business for 3 decades before he was planning to start a coffee shop before coffee shops were the fad. And so in 97, a gentleman who was going to fund the coffee house asked him about joining his imaging organization that was brokering CT scanners to China. And long story short is that ended up going bankrupt, and Dad kind of picked up the pieces and founded Block Imaging. So that's how it all began. That's
amazing. Block Imaging has grown into such a respected name in the field. What do you think has been key to the company's success and its longevity?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I think the first was that service of the healthcare community, that what we get to do is noble work in offering a second chance at life for healthcare providers to serve patients. And yet kind of underneath it all is creating a place where people love to work. Is we're passionate about culture. And I know you took a tour and got to experience a little bit of that. But at the end of the day, so much of what we do is built on our belief that people matter more. And so starting out of that is, what if we could create a place where people love to work, and then from there serve customers because of the enjoyment and the fulfillment they get in the work that they do every day.
Right. And no BS. From the moment I walked in the door, and I watch everything, I pay attention, and I felt it. I really did feel that positive culture and from everybody there. And no one seemed afraid of you. You stopped and said hello to people all along the way. And I was just so impressed. I don't know what to say to you except for congratulations, because that's a pretty big deal.
No, I appreciate it. And it's fun to hear people. I mean, for us, where we work every day is, it's commonplace to us. And yet when we have guests visit, they'll comment on everything from people didn't feel uncomfortable when you walked through. Sometimes they kept talking about personal things. Sometimes they came over and introduced themselves. But yeah, it is really important to us that people feel safe in the work that they do.
Right. What role do you think family has played in shaping the company's values and direction over the years?
Yeah, family is such a great word. Is that family for some is biological, and yet for others is formed in community. And so for us, like, how do you treat your kids? How do you treat your spouse? How do you treat your family? When we do business really, really well, and when we build a strong team, it does really feel like family.
Absolutely. And your company also, we've talked about this, emphasizes service and relationships. So how do those values show up in day-to-day operations and the client relationships?
Yeah, so for us, again, because we believe that people matter more, we seek to create a thriving team culture that serves the healthcare community. And so ultimately, this idea of like that people matter in so many organizations, one of the biggest struggles in work is that everyone's focused on themselves, whether they know it or not, is is in what I called in the book that's going to be coming out in February, the me cycle. The boss looks out for themselves and their own needs. The employee looks out for their own needs. Everyone's focused on self-protection. And what happens, and that's just nobody really enjoys it, and nobody thrives in that environment.
It's so true. And you've said, and correct me if I'm wrong, culture isn't just a vibe. It's something more tangible. So how do you define and build the culture at Block Imaging?
Yeah, culture is what happens the day in and day out. The words and the actions within a team is it's not what's written on the walls, but really what happens in the halls. And so, yeah, culture is just what's normative in a place. Every organization has a culture. Some are intentional and some are accidental. And yeah, so culture is just what is the normal way of behaving? What's the normal way of speaking and treating one another, and working to serve customers?
Right. So let's talk advice. We both know there's tension between results and relationships in the workplace. So how can a leader balance the two without compromising one or the other?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think all of us fall to one side or the other. Is potentially as leaders, we're so focused on relationship that maybe we lose track of performance, and then some of us are so focused on performance that we lose track of people. And what we say is that if people matter, performance matters. Because at the end of the day, if we don't perform, we don't have the privilege of carrying out our mission. And so for us, like the more that we care for people, the more we're invested and take ownership, the more that performance kind of takes care of itself. And so we really put people at the forefront and allow performance to follow is what our approach and tendency is.
And this is not a new idea to you. You've blogged about people mattering for so long. It seems like this passion has been within you for years. And I am excited to hear about the book, which is now available for pre-order.
Yeah, so it's available on Amazon and Simon and Schuster and Barnes and Noble and a few other spots for pre-order, and then it comes out in the first week of February.
And so it's called People Matter at Work. Tell me what inspired you to write it, and why now?
In 2011, when I became president, I was 29 years old, and there was kind of this journey. There was so much I didn't know, but there was this piece of me that, like, I had loved every job I ever had, and yet when I became an adult, all of a sudden I realized, like, wow, my experience and the world's experience are very different. The way I think about work and leadership. And so from 2011 really until today, it was just, what does it look like to create a place where people love to work, and day in and day out. And then in 2020, kind of COVID struck in March of 2020. And I was out for a run, and I just felt like there was this deep sense, like, it's time to start writing and sharing what we've learned through the process of practicing living out this culture. And so then we went through the process of an acquisition, which was extremely lengthy and involved process. And so that was 2 years. And so it's kind of funny when I think about the 6 years of writing the book. That's how long it will be from when I started to when it's published.
Wow.
It's been a long process, obviously leading an organization as well, but I've learned so much through it. And it's been one of the hard things to actually ship the book has been, oh, there's a new story, there's a new idea, there's something else that I'm learning along the way. But really, I'm thankful that what is in the book that will be launched in February was not fully baked, was not even mostly baked when I began in 2020.
Interesting. So are you already compiling then for book number 2?
It is funny that I think that it's one of those things in life that book number 2 and 3 would be, I think, 10% as much work as book number 1 was. But yeah, right. There are a few ideas for what we'd like to see in book number 2 around leadership.
So again, the book is called People Matter at Work. Who should read this book?
Anyone who is a current or aspiring leader. It really is oriented toward leadership. I think it works. Like the 3 T's that we talk about in the book do lead followers really well and leading up the chain. But at the end of the day, like, this is really designed for organizational leaders.
Yeah, it sounds so good. I mean, it's been called practical, personal, deeply human. Could you share a story or maybe a takeaway from the book that captures that spirit?
The first T that really I grabbed onto in 2011 and it's felt like a game changer to this day is sharpening decisions together. And so when I hired at that time my assistant, who became my executive assistant for 12 years and now is our director of part sales, Emily Jones, I got done interviewing her. I'm 29 years old. I haven't hired that many people. And I just had that moment of, like, how do you know? I mean, how do you know? She was a single mom at the time, re-entering the workforce. And I stepped outside of the room, and there were three individuals standing by the coffee machine. And I said, hey, would you guys mind just going in, meeting Emily? You know me, and just kind of sharing, spending a few minutes with her and sharing if you think she's a good fit. And that was like the first kind of accidental step into together. And so they interviewed her, said they thought she'd be a great fit, which not only confirmed the decision, but they also took ownership in getting her launched into the organization. And she's been an incredible leader in our organization for lots of years. And so that first T, together, that was probably my first piece of like where before I even knew the idea was fully formed, beginning to embody what I thought good leadership looked like.
Fantastic. Now, is there a mindset shift that you hope readers take away from the book? And what would that be?
Yeah, the one that has been most on my mind, if together's the first, there's this word thoughtful as the second, and leading thoughtfully. And no one seeks to lead haphazardly, but thoughtful, the definition is careful consideration for the needs of others. And so this stopping and going like, what does it look like to be on the other side of this decision it's so important, because so often a leader makes a decision and, oh, the people love it, they'll think it's great, or maybe they won't, and it's not that big a deal, it's kind of a small decision. And I would say sometimes it's the small decisions that have an outsized impact. So I think if I had one thought that's been like burning within is stopping, whether it's a big decision, whether it's a small decision, taking careful consideration of the needs of the people on the other side of that decision.
Okay. I'm excited about the book. It comes out in February, but we can order now.
Correct.
Culture may not have been the big thing 10 years ago, but right now it seems like we really, really need some education on this.
It is a huge topic, and it's fun that it's come to the forefront as something that's important. I think people talk about it, but aren't necessarily sure quite what to do to shift the culture that's not healthy or to take it to the next level. And hopefully this is a story that equips, encourages, and empowers people to actually build it.
Right. And out of all the books I've been reading this year, even the title of yours and just knowing what about it really stands out to me. So I'm very excited to read it. Is there anything else that anyone listening should know about the book or Block imaging as a whole?
Yeah, I would just say that ultimately I hope to be an encouragement to people on their leadership journey, and our team is growing. That if you're interested in joining in the healthcare community and being a part of Block Imaging, we'd love to have a conversation. We have tons and tons of roles open across the U.S., and so we're always looking for strong candidates who want to be a part of this culture that I've shared about today.
Well, Josh, I thank you so much for taking some time with us today. You really do embody the people matter at work phrasing, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future.
All right. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the 517 In Your Business podcast. Get to know local businesses better by reading 517 Business Magazine. Get your subscription at 517mag.com/subscribe.